when you look good and feel good, you do good. And that's a beautiful thing. We can be powerful and pretty and celebrate all of that.
I'm already seeing merch, powerful and pretty. Okay, someone jot that down.
The whole mission of the Sparkle Bar is to celebrate uniqueness. We help people see themselves in ways that maybe they haven't before, and we get to speak life into them in ways that maybe somebody hasn't.
You navigated something completely life-altering.
I was diagnosed with stage 3C lung cancer. When you see a survival rate of 5% and you really come to terms of like what that looks like, knowing that what I was doing was serving a greater purpose, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
You held a full-time job while scaling your business. How did you know it was the right time to make the leap and go all in? Today, we're going to talk about a few topics that are so important as entrepreneurs. Specifically, anyone, whether you're building a business or just building toward a big dream, is understanding that if we can embrace delayed gratification, if we can stay committed through seasons of uncertainty, through seasons when life is not going as planned, we get to these moments where we get to pause and acknowledge that it was all worth it. And I have my friend Alex Bradberry. She's founder of the Sparkle Bar. You guys got to hear my makeup artist, Eli Medina, on a previous episode. And Alex is the owner and founder of the Sparkle Bar. It's a place that's been a huge part of all of my big moments in life. And the woman behind this brand and this vision has been such an inspiration to me. And I'm so excited to share her with all of you. Alex Bradberry, welcome to Powerhouse Women.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I mean, you and your beautiful business, the Sparkle Bar, have literally been a part of the biggest moments in my life.
It's true. I feel really grateful that we get to have those experiences alongside special people like yourself.
You know, we got to have Eli, of course, my glam fairy godfather,
yes,
on the podcast a couple weeks ago. And I think like this is the beauty of creating businesses, that we get to play a role in people's lives in such a special way, but specifically the kind of business that you own, which is a makeup studio, a beauty studio located in Scottsdale, where I live. And when I think about the most impactful moments over the last 7-ish years, the Powerhouse Women event, you know, major milestone moments in my own life, even this podcast, like most of the time I am sitting in a Sparkle Bar chair before I show up in the biggest ways for my business. And I just want you to like speak to, was that the vision initially in creating a beauty studio? Like, did you realize how impactful it would feel and be that you're creating this experience that's part of people's biggest moments in life?
It's super special. And no, I never thought that would be part of it, that we would get to play such a significant role in the lives of the people who like entrust us with those moments.
Yeah.
Everything from a book cover to baby showers and weddings and birthdays and graduations. It's been super special to have the opportunity to be alongside people as they celebrate all of those milestone moments in their lives.
And, you know, one of the many reasons that I was excited to have you on the podcast today is that like, it's just this journey. We've kind of like grown these businesses side by side and gotten to, I always feel like they're like our little business children, and they get to like hold hands sometimes and they get to go on these fun adventures together. But, you know, when you think back to the very early days of the Sparkle Bar, what was it like? What was the gap that you were seeing in the marketplace, in the beauty space, that you said, okay, this needs to exist?
There's so much that makes the Sparkle Bar special. And
Yeah.
it really is the conduit by which people are introduced to their next new fave. And nothing like that existed, a place where people could just come and be invited to participate in the experience that is getting ready for special moments.
Yeah.
I can think back to when I was in college and getting ready with girlfriends. And that was like the best part of going out.
Better than the going out itself.
Like listening to music, just sitting there, talking, getting ready together, and to be able to recreate those experiences every single day for people is super special. It is something that I didn't expect to be in that energy all the time, but it's really been one of the greatest gifts of having the studio and the Sparkle Bar.
Yeah. There's so many parts of your journey that I don't even know that I've really ever told you have been so inspirational, so expansive to me as a business owner, as our two businesses have grown. And so the one is, I know just a little bit of the story, and I want you to share it here about how you actually had to change laws, like change the law in order for you to operate business. And I'm going to have you share that story, but also what I really want people to hear is like, where are you stopping right at the threshold of like the thing that's like, nope, you can't do that. You aren't qualified. You don't have what you need. And what I always get from when I hear you share the story is like that reminder of, okay, how can I change the way I'm seeing this problem in order to see my way through it or around it? Or maybe I just need to go change the freaking law so I can operate my business. So I don't think people realize what you went through in order to even just be able to operate in the way that you are now, because you've set the standard for the beauty industry, specifically like in our area. So tell a little bit of that story. What was it, and how did you even find out like, oh, we can't actually operate unless we get this changed?
Yes. So much of entrepreneurship is just a journey of opening doors and walking down hallways that you're not quite sure what lies on the other side or what's coming next. And so, even when it comes to opening a business, part of that journey was figuring out what was required. And in that discovery process, learned that, the Board of Cosmetology had previously governed makeup artistry, but they didn't require it as something that was required in education. So when it came time for us to open the Sparkle Bar and create this business around just delivering a service, and then learning that that wasn't actually something that was allowed legally, you start to wonder, how can I adjust the idea and pivot and creatively think around things? And I think that's actually probably one of my gifts, perspective, being able to look at things a little bit differently and take a step back and consider alternative viewpoints. So, sometimes when things don't make sense, you have to ask the question like, that doesn't make sense. What can be done then? If this is not a possibility, then what can we do? And it was really just asking those questions that led to, meeting the lawyers who would ultimately take on our case pro bono and guide us through the process of becoming lobbyists and finding a senator who would write our bill for us and support us in our endeavor. And it was really just continuing to just not take no for an answer, or just keep asking questions and taking the next necessary step. I think that like tenacity is really what sets anyone apart from, them and their dream. Yeah.
How long was the process from start to finish?
So getting a bill passed actually took a year before we actually opened. So there was a lot of foundation and groundwork that was laid prior to even having keys to a space. I think it was in July when the bill ultimately was signed into law, but it was definitely a process, many meetings and a lot of commitment and staying consistent and deciding that this is something we wanted to see through.
Yeah. Was there ever a moment where you wanted to just throw in the towel, be like, let me just start an easier business, or let me start something else that doesn't involve changing the law?
I think that ignorance can be bliss to some degree, right? Like, so I think if I knew now what I know or would have known then, that you ask yourself that question, would I go down that same path if I would know like the different obstacles I would have faced? Probably not. But in hindsight, every single challenge that I faced in that process built the muscle that is required to build a business. It's always harder than what you think it's going to be. And so just being able to make those things happen really helped to build a lot of confidence. So I'm grateful for them. They helped to bring me to where I am. But it was definitely a journey and difficult.
Yeah. The other thing that is such an inspiration to me when I reflect on your journey specifically, and I don't think this is talked about enough, is you held a full-time job for actually a long time while scaling your business. I think it's so easy to see like the exterior of someone's business success and think, even someone could see the Sparkle Bar because it's a fully functioning operational studio. You don't have to be there every day,
right,
and think like, oh, Alex is probably like on the beach or something. Here, no, you were holding down a full-time job in corporate America and scaling your dream. What had you, I think I'm like, what had you make that choice? Sometimes we don't have a choice, right? It's really like, no, this is what is required. But how long did you work a job alongside the business? And then I want to talk about, because I remember you being in that season where you were transitioning and just what a big leap that felt like at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So take us back to those early days. What was that like balancing both? And how did you know it was the right time to make the leap and go all in?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. I can sit here now and have so much gratitude for that journey and what it took to get here. We're celebrating 10 years this year, which is a huge milestone. I'm so proud of us. To have a brick and mortar is a big deal, but also to have made it through the pandemic is huge. And so I'm incredibly proud of what we've achieved as a team. I worked for 5 years full-time, simultaneously building the business while I held down a full-time job managing major accounts and sales. I'm also a mom of 2. So at the same time, I had like little kids. My daughters are now 11 and 14. So to kind of put that in perspective, they were like 5 and 2.5 when the studio, I think, opened. Yeah. So they've also grown up with the business. And so there were a lot of sacrifices. You have to be so committed to the vision and journey. And I think people glamorize how like overnight success and how easy it is. It's incredibly challenging and difficult, but it can be done. And it's worth it. I'm so proud of where we are today and the sacrifices that we made, knowing that it would bring us to this point. I think that is success. I'm so grateful to have had the experience and being able to have my job full time and be able to transition, because it equipped me in ways that I needed to in order for us to continue to build the business to where we're going.
Yeah. I would actually love if you would speak to that, because I get this question a lot within our program, specifically like our 6-figure school program, where a lot of women are doing both. And I think there's this, and I get it, right? It's like this hunger to be able to put all your time and energy into the business that you love building. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the smartest thing you can do, the best thing you can do for your business, is to have that steady income and not to put the pressure on the business to have to be everything. So to someone who's listening right now, who's got to be in both, or they're choosing to be in both, what words of encouragement do you have for this stage of the journey to just put into perspective and maybe to instill a little bit of that patience that it's going to pay off in the end? Mm-hmm.
Patience is such a virtue, and it's so required. It's so important. Yeah. You have to really remember that you're playing the long game. You are aiming to be like a galaxy, not a shooting star, not something that just fades, in a moment. You're building something that is a legacy. And so I had to continue to remind myself that's what this is. And even to make it very simple, I'd ask myself, would you rather have a hamburger today or wait a year and have filet mignon for the rest of your life? Mm-hmm. Like delayed gratification, and really like leaning into that, knowing that what I was doing was serving a greater purpose, and it mattered. And it was important for me to stay committed to the journey because it was going to take us to where we were going. Mm-hmm. Not everyone's going to understand and see your vision. That's why it's really important that you're careful with who you share that information with. But it's also important that you realize you're running your own race and to keep your blinders on. I love the quote by Jimmy Iovine. He talks about, the reason why horses in horse races have blinders. They're not looking to their left. They're not looking to their right, because what matters is in front of you. So, continue to focus on your goal and the race that you're running. This is your journey, and not to be distracted by what's happening around you.
So going back to that season, how did it force you to look at the time you were dedicating to your business? Because like you said, you were working full-time, demanding career, little kids at home, 2 girls, plus a growing business. Mm-hmm. What did it force you to do and master when it came to your time? What about the person who's really struggling to, I hate the word balance, but to fit it all in, to have it run smoothly while still making progress toward their goals and they're balancing a lot in their life.
It is a lot, but I think it comes down to discipline and really deciding and doing. I think it's almost easier actually when you have less time to just do, because you only have what's available to get it done. I think there's actually a lot of room when you are a full-time entrepreneur to create a lot of space for yourself and be less disciplined. So, when all you have is this hour to get it done, it's very easy for you to just get it done because that's all you have available to you.
Yeah.
I feel like I ran on autopilot, and it probably wasn't the healthiest for me, if I'm being quite honest. It wasn't a plan that I intended to have for, beyond 5 years. 5 years was my goal. And so also being firm about my goals. And I'm grateful that actually did happen, but it was a lot of discipline, staying consistent.
What did that look like on a day-to-day basis? Can you remember back to that season? What did it practically look like to make it all work?
Honestly, it probably looked like a chicken running around with her head cut off to some degree.
Relatable.
It was a lot. It was a lot, but it was also reminding myself every single day that this is not going to be every day, that everything that I'm doing right now and in this moment is for what we are planning for the future. That really continued to encourage me. I had a lot of help. That's also something that I'm really grateful for.
Yeah.
I have an incredible team that made it so that I was able to continue balancing in that way. I have a great partner that, also supports me in this way, but, knowing within myself that this wasn't going to be a forever commitment, but that it was necessary for the season. And sometimes that's what it comes down to. You just have to just decide and do.
And I keep going back to that term you used just a moment ago, delayed gratification. Like really making those choices of deciding, like, what do you want the future to look like, and being willing, back to that discipline point, to choose the thing that's not necessarily comfortable in the moment. Right. I think entrepreneurship is so glamorized, and there's so many of these micro decisions behind the scenes that all of us are making. And that's one of the reasons I love having this platform, is just to really normalize those less sexy parts of the journey that, people may see you eating your filet mignon, right? Philosophically speaking, but they didn't see the moments when you were choosing to eat, let's just be honest, like top ramen, right?
Or not at all, because you're so tired and so busy. Or,
don't stop to eat.
And the responsibility of having employees and the fear that can come along with payroll and all the things. But it honestly has been the greatest adventure of my life. I say that a lot, but it's true. It has been, what a gift to get to experience, life in this way. Yeah.
What would you say are the biggest things that, reflecting on, the journey thus far, that you've really learned about yourself, like as a woman, as a mother, as an entrepreneur? Like, what has this journey taught you about yourself?
It has taught me a lot about myself. I'm really proud of the way that I've handled a lot of situations that have come my way. You never know. Life's for everyone. And so that experience is unique to the individual. But I faced some things through my journey that, in hindsight, when I look back at how I've responded, I'm really proud of the grace that I displayed through those situations.
It's easy in hindsight to look back and sometimes even be grateful for the challenges. But when I'll just say when I'm in them, I don't always have that same sense of gratitude. It's usually far in hindsight that I can see the gift it gave, or I can see the lesson, or how it allowed me to prove to myself who I say I am because of how I showed up. And one of the things that, you've just recently started to open up and share about is something completely life altering that you navigated over the last couple of years. And I think that we were talking a little bit too about how when women get to the point that they're ready to share these really vulnerable parts of their stories, for those that are navigating it right now and aren't ready to talk about it, having that expansion of someone who's navigated it and is sitting here today, able to tell the story alive and well and thriving. Will you take us back to the moment you found out and how you've navigated from that point forward?
Yeah. So I was diagnosed with stage 3C lung cancer in July of 2023, which at the time I was 37, which is just so wild. From a statistics perspective, I did not meet the profile of somebody who should be diagnosed with cancer, but that was what happened. And it's a long story as to how, I was diagnosed, but I'm grateful. One thing that I want to make sure people do is they take care of themselves. Oftentimes as an entrepreneur, you can, set yourself on fire to keep other people warm, and it's not a recipe for success. Nothing runs without you. So it's very important that you take care of yourself. And so in doing that for myself, it was after attending an annual doctor's appointment that my endocrinologist discovered a enlarged lymph node. And I went and got that tested, and that's when I learned that I had adenocarcinoma of the lung, which is lung cancer. So yes, it was shocking. I can remember going down the YouTube wormhole, just searching for stage 3C, because, you don't know what's happening. You just have confirmation of some abnormal cells. And so I think if anyone is kind of going through something that's really challenging or in a challenging health season, continue to keep the faith and continue to pray. Everything is going to be okay, but you have to continue to maintain faith. Some of the scariest moments were in between appointments, which the waiting is hard, but I had this sense of peace that everything was going to be okay, which I don't know. It's hard to explain. It was hard though to not know what was going on in my body. At the end of the year, I did, radiation and chemotherapy. And even that, it was a really difficult season because I did choose to go through that, kind of privately, only sharing with some people, because I didn't really know how to deal with it. I wasn't quite ready to share with everyone, or at least not everyone. So there were some select people that were safe to me. And I think that's also something that's important, to not isolate yourself. When you're dealing with a hard season, it's important to be in community and reach out to some people, because it can be very lonely. Those people that I was able to reach out to were really a saving grace for me and gave me the outlet that I needed to just feel safe. But it was really important for me to see examples of people who were thriving beyond cancer. So, I really focused on maintaining a positive mindset. I did a lot of meditation. I did a lot of being with myself, a lot of praying, a lot of reading of my Bible, because I knew how important staying in a healthy place mentally was. So, if that's you as well, do all the things, read the positive quotes, read your Bible, stay in those positive spaces, because it does make a huge difference in your day to day to be in a happy space. I'm so grateful and so blessed. And honestly, it's a miracle because I'm now in remission after, now a year in remission. So I'm incredibly grateful to be on the other side of cancer. It, can be a scary word to hear, but I want people to know also that, for me, it reminded me that I can still be grateful even in the midst of a storm. I'm so grateful to be here now, and to that I had the team with me that I did at the time who helped support that journey. It was a hard thing to experience, but I'm really grateful because it reminded me what matters and what doesn't, how precious life is. So on the other side of it, it is with a lot of gratitude that I'm both alive and can be a testimony, and hopefully a beacon of hope for somebody who might be experiencing something similar and in a challenging season.
And that's so true, isn't it? It's the darkest moments, not having navigated that one specifically, but my own version of something where you're never would have put that on my bingo card.
Right.
The way that it so immediately puts into focus what matters and what really doesn't is profound. It's a gift. And again, wouldn't ever have chosen that way of learning that lesson. But how has that shaped the way you operate your business now? What has it changed in terms of how you operate as a boss, as a leader, as an entrepreneur in general?
I honestly don't even feel like the same person. I mean, my heart is the same, but it's such a different experience now. I mean, we get to do life with each other. So all of it centers around the human experience and how we impact the lives of the people around us. That's it. That's all that matters at the end of the day. So the interactions that we have at the studio, the way that we are able to help people see themselves, the way that they go off and do the same for others as a result of their experience with us is everything. I feel so grateful that the Sparkle Bar has created a space where artists can thrive and like live, and we've created an ecosystem where that's possible. I'm like so proud that there are so many people who this is like their livelihood, and the opportunities that we're creating for ourselves and each other and the doors that it's opening. So it just reminds me that all of this is really special, and that every moment is really special, and that all of it is a gift. And I'm just so grateful to participate in it with these people who've chosen to also do it together with us.
And I've watched you navigate it with such grace, and it was very expansive to me, the permission you gave yourself to navigate it in the way that was most authentic to you, and who you shared it with and when, and I think that is the ultimate reminder for anyone who's listening to this. Especially if you are a leader, you're leading others, you're showing up and have a public platform in any way, shape, or form, that there are going to be seasons that don't necessarily need to be walked through in public, that you'll know when and if there is a time you want to share that and let people into that part of your world. But I think that's the thing. The longer I've been in business, the longer I've been on this planet, is just to realize that that's ultimately the thing that connects us all is, we'll have our version of that season in one way, shape, or form. And what would you say is like what's the biggest lesson that it has taught you as it relates to allowing support? Because I know that's been a big lesson in the last little season for me.
Right. Well, one thing that this experience reminded me of is that you never know what anybody is going through unless they choose to share that with you. Right. So it's so important to show kindness and love to everyone that you can, because you never know what they're facing as well. Because on the surface, if you would have seen me and you didn't know, I was totally healthy and fine. But, probably that morning I just driven myself to radiation and was probably going to have a chemotherapy session the next week. So, but if I didn't tell you that, you would have had no idea. So I think that was one really good reminder for me. Yeah. And what was the second question?
Just about how you navigated allowing others to support you. Because when you're dealt something that kind of like profoundly alters the way you look at life, it also, in a way, I think it shows us where there's opportunities to allow ourselves to receive more. It's like those times where we're hit with something that shows us our humanness, like our own limitations.
Right. Yes. Like for me, that was like, I physically could not. So I was forced to let people help me in ways that I would probably not have. Otherwise, I would have powered through. But you know what? That was like also a beautiful gift, because it showed me that I could physically be removed from my space and everything continues to run. And that's exactly what that lesson showed me in that season for my business, that even if I wasn't there, it was going, like we had done such a good job building the systems and implementing the steps in the process that in my absence, my business continued to function. That was such a win, because it is scary to walk into a situation and not know, am I going to be alive potentially to see this through? What happens if that's not the case? And so for on the other side, the outcome to have been, we still had a great year, and that nobody skipped a beat was a huge success for me.
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? It's like those moments where we're forced to see it's almost like to see the weaknesses in the business, removing yourself. Even it could be as simple as like, as a business owner, going on vacation and just watching, like, can your team just handle it without you? Where are the places that it kind of breaks down? It just helps us to build back stronger, but it can be so frightening to do in the moment.
It was a gift though that I would not have had the opportunity to receive had I not been faced with this unexpected diagnosis.
What does life and business look like now on the other side of it, in remission, with a new perspective about what is most important to you. How has that changed the way that you operate in your business?
Yeah. I think when you face truly life and death, where you see a survival rate of 5% and you really come to terms of like what that looks like facing your own mortality.
Yeah.
And then being able to come and be on the other side of that, there are very few things that bother me now. You know, my tolerance for things has increased because what matters and what doesn't is very clear to me. There was once upon a time that I would probably stress myself out over something, I can't even think of something now, but payroll or numbers or things like natural business owner things. Yeah. But I have this sense of peace now that is just, I can't describe it. I feel a lot of peace around what's happening in the business. And that frees me a lot to make clearer decisions because I don't have the weight in the same way. So I think that freedom of just really being able to have that discernment around what matters and what doesn't has been the greatest gift.
Just that word peace. It's that is such a hard earned word and feeling to experience. I've thought so much about this. I just spend so much time in your beautiful space in all these big moments of my life. And, and just the role that the Sparkle Bar has gotten to play in helping me really feel like I can show up as the version of me that I want to show up as in these big moments. And I think a lot about, I don't have my own children. You are a mom of 2 girls, and they're being raised in this world where beauty standards are changing and social media has different influences than when I was a child. What is being a mom? How has that impacted, specifically a mom of girls, how does that impact the mission that you see the Sparkle Bar really stands for? What do you want for your girls to know about beauty as they now are reaching the age where they're probably thinking about it? Right?
Yes. The whole mission of the Sparkle Bar is to create and celebrate uniqueness, who you are as an individual. I want my girls and every little girl, woman, person who comes into that space to know that we are celebrating them. It is so much more than makeup. It is about people feeling like the most confident version of themselves and being able to walk out confidently into the world and go do that thing that brought them in, whether that's a job interview, to speak on a podcast, to be, their wedding. We help people see themselves in ways that maybe they haven't before. And we get to speak life into them in ways that maybe somebody hasn't. It's such a gift. I want my girls to know that they are beautiful, and however they decide to adorn themselves with or without. That's why I show up in all different ways too, because it's a choice. And I love that we get to celebrate people in the way that they want to show up.
And that truly is what you have created. It is. It's a space where you just feel like you are just as beautiful when you walk in with no makeup as when you walk out looking like Eli taught me the terminology with a beat, a good beat.
Yes, a good beat. That's right.
Is that what the cool kids say now?
Yes.
Wait, that's a good, wait, I want to.
Yes, I want all of that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for teaching me new things, Eli. And, it's been especially cool in the last, when did we start the Expanders Retreat? A year-ish ago.
Literally.
To get to now have you as a part of that community and the growth and the expansion that we've literally all watched each other experience. What role has community, or whether it's that community, or I know you're plugged into so many, what role has that played for you as an entrepreneur, specifically in the seasons like the one that you walk through, the tougher moments where you may not even be sharing with that community what's going on, but you're able to access the strength, right?
For me, business has always been about having fun with my friends and community. I'm an only child, so community is so important.
Yeah.
It's what makes this whole experience fun. And also when it's not so fun, it's the lifeline that you need to get through those really challenging times. I would not have made it through a lot of what the last 18 months has thrown at me without community, and specifically this community where I could be safe and have those moments where I could share, what was going on. Because, also as a business owner and entrepreneur, you can't always have conversations with everyone, and it's not always appropriate to do them, in all the settings. So having a very curated group of people who get it and who can support you has been everything.
Yeah. And you just add so much to those rooms. I mean, any room I've gotten to be in with you, it's the wisdom, yes, but all the little pieces like I've been sharing about your story that really impact me, and I know are going to impact so many people who are listening to this. It's important. It's important that we allow ourselves to receive, but also to know that what we bring into those spaces, we may all fight that feeling okay, do I belong here? Do I have anything to offer? And you are someone who just adds so much value into any space you are in. And now this added layer, I think, of the perspective of just what really matters and how deep your mission goes. It's been really, really beautiful to watch.
Thank you.
What are you most excited for in this next season? What is on your next expansion list in terms of whether you want to answer that from a business perspective or who you're becoming? What does Alex's next expansion look like?
Honestly, it feels like I'm in the middle of it still.
Totally.
I'm still peeling back the layers of what the last 2 years have looked like. But I can say I have a lot of confidence, and there's so much less fear in general. And so I feel really excited about what's on the horizon because I have a renewed sense of energy and life, obviously, that gives me a lot of excitement. I know the purpose that we have. I know that I have a lot of purpose. I'm here for a very specific reason. So that is really exciting to me. So I'm just really grateful and feeling really blessed knowing that my steps have been ordered. So I just have to keep walking in the direction that I'm guided to go, because what's meant for me won't miss me. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that I've had, that there is no timeline that I'm on a journey and I'm experiencing life, and I'm grateful to be on this journey, that every day is a gift and I'm just here for the ride.
Again, that perspective is just so valuable. And for anyone listening, especially if you're coming to the Powerhouse Women event, you're going to be in Scottsdale. The Sparkle Bar I feel like you're not actually getting the full Powerhouse experience if you don't make a visit to the Sparkle Bar.
Yes, so, please come.
Obviously, we'll link thesparklebar.com, located in Scottsdale. Even if you're not in Scottsdale, it's just the reminder that, there are people who come along with us on the journey. And I think what's so special about the community we've really cultivated here locally is the way that we've really supported one another in ways that go so far beyond the ways that the public ways people see. And what would you say is the biggest thing right now in this next season that people can do to support you or to support the Sparkle Bar?
Oh, thank you. Well, honestly, thank you for having me here today. This has been such a gift. Any time I have the opportunity to share, the mission of what we do and how we serve at the Sparkle Bar, I feel grateful. It means that people will understand how important it is for people to feel seen and how everyone matters, and that feeling good is important. It's not vain. When you look good and feel good, you do good. And that's a beautiful thing. And we can be powerful and pretty and celebrate all of that. So I don't know if that was a question you asked me, but
that was beautiful. I'm I'm already seeing merch, powerful and pretty. I'm okay, someone jot that down.
No, I think it's just great. I'm
how
really
we can
excited.
Support you. That's what it is.
So people can support us by, please follow our journey. We are launching education too, and I'm excited because we oftentimes get asked, from our clients that we get to meet here who travel, because the beautiful thing about the business that we have is We get to meet a lot of really powerful, influential women who are doing awesome things, who also need glam outside of Arizona. So we are going to bridge the gap between what they have available to them now by creating a certification program. So please follow along for that journey. We're also doing some exciting, I'm excited about the work we're doing with nonprofits as well, to help support the next wave of entrepreneurs through makeup artistry. And then I'm hoping that we can have something exciting for Powerhouse in time. But I'm really excited about some physical products that we will be launching at the end of this year.
Yay. Oh my goodness. Well, and that's actually a good point too, is if any of you follow my personal Instagram, I've done 2 in-person makeup lessons with Eli, but you can do those virtually as well. And there is something about, not everyone listening may have an interest in like learning how to do their makeup, but especially for those listening that are wanting to show up with more confidence and may not have a budget every time they go to do a video to go and get a full beat. Okay, did I use it correctly in context? Wow. Winning. They might not have the budget to go and get their makeup done. Right. And it's empowered me so much to learn how to confidently do my makeup. And I did 2 lessons. The first one, I was like, okay, I mostly got this down. I needed a little bit of a refresher. And even like today, I wasn't actually able to get in studio. I did my own makeup.
I was going to say, you look great too. I was like, did she go somewhere else to have it?
No, I can verify I did this face all on my own.
Yes.
But I think it's just important to highlight the way that you're just such an innovator when it comes to what is actually going to empower people to feel their best, whether or not they can get to Scottsdale in studio to experience the full Sparkle Bar glam session. But so those of you who are listening who are like, this sounds amazing, or I would love to learn, you can book virtual makeup tutorials, It's a one-on-one lesson with an artist. And that empowered me so much, especially just in this era that I'm just noticing that coming out of my little cocoon, I'm just ready to show up more. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference for how I feel about myself.
Yes.
When I just feel confident in how my makeup looks.
Yes. This is not just makeup, putting makeup on your face. It is looking at yourself, and as you're putting your eyeshadow on, looking at your eyes and telling yourself how beautiful they are and how special they are and how blessed you are that you can see through them, or your nose, how great it is because you can smell and take in the day and the roses around you, and your mouth, it can speak life into the world. This is such a bigger experience than just putting on makeup, and everyone deserves to feel beautiful because you were created one of one.
That is much more empowering than me running through my to-do list in my head when I'm putting on my makeup. I'm going to try that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's such a good reminder of those micro moments, like just back to so many of the themes we've touched on, of just being present with yourself, right? Those moments of peace, being able to use those as a reflection to instill that inner confidence that the makeup is really just a reflection of. It's just an outward expression of what we want to cultivate on the inside. And so we'll make sure to link everything in the show notes so people know where to follow the Sparkle Bar, follow you, connect online. And really the last question is such a powerful one, specifically for someone who's walked through a season like you have. And it's just an opportunity for you to pause and acknowledge yourself for anything big or small that you just want to pause in this moment and celebrate. We just call it a powerhouse moment. But if I ask, what's a recent powerhouse moment you want to pause and celebrate here, as a reminder to all of us to pause and celebrate ourselves for something? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Honestly, okay, so I could think of a lot of things because I've been reflecting on this, because I think too often we blow by these moments and we don't stop and smell the roses. I remind myself, you only get so many firsts in life, and to remember that, Something that I'm proud of, though, even just as a business owner, sometimes you forget I can remember the days that I prayed to have full books, and we're there now, to have full days. I can remember the days where I prayed for us to have one corporate booking, and now we have 5 in a week. It's easy to think that it's just regular now, but to actually sit back and remind yourself, the thing that I have in front of me is something that I prayed about, and how special that is a constant gift and reminder that I have to give myself daily. Because truly, just being here. I get to call this work. I'm so proud that I stayed committed to the vision 10 years ago, that I could be in this seat today having this conversation with you, because had I given up when it got hard 5 years ago, we wouldn't be here. So all of it has led to this moment.
Reminds me of that quote. I don't know if you remember Jasmine Starr, the first year she spoke at Powerhouse. She had this amazing mic drop moment that I think we all needed to tattoo on ourselves, that overwhelm is the abundance of what we once prayed for.
Yes.
And it's like that perspective that, yes, I'm sure there's moments of stress or chaos, or managing the team around having full books, but that was a reality we once prayed for, and finding the perspective in that. I'm just so grateful to be a witness to your journey, to your evolution, and just really so grateful to be on this ride together.
Thank you. And ditto. I feel like wind beneath my wings by the women who are around me. So thank you for being one of those women who is buoyed and supported throughout the entire journey. I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here without you. So thank you.
Love you so much.
Love you too.